Okay. Hello, everyone. It is another Friday Love Your Liver live stream. I am Dr. Garrett Smith, the nutrition detective around these YouTube parts. And I got a couple topics to go over at the start before. So for those of you who are new, if you've subscribed to the channel, then you can ask questions in the chat. I get to those as they are posted and as I have time. If you ever wanted to get right to the top of the list, you can always send a super chat. But what we are going to do first, I wanted to go over a testimonial that had a couple of things in it that are relevant to what we are doing here. So one of the things, for those of you who are just a super quick review, one of the concepts that we are operating on here is that chronic modern disease is based in what we call cholestasis or liver injury, which is bile going backwards into your blood or getting into your blood either through backing up there through the liver, backing up there through into the blood through the bile ducts, or getting back into the blood through leaky gut. You should not have bile in your blood. If you have bile in your blood, it is the most toxic fluid in your body. And then everything your blood touches, now that it has toxic bile in it, it's slowly damaging everything it touches. And you can see it reflected in everybody's health today and how modern medicine can't seem to figure out the cause of one single disease. They really can't, or they'd be fixing them. Not that they want to. So what I wanted to go over today was a testimonial about migraines and bilirubin, bilirubin. Got to remember that. Bilirubin is named after bile, bilirubin. So here, let's go through this one. Around the time I turned 23, two things happened. After having a blood panel done, my family doctor told me I had high bilirubin, but said it wasn't a big deal, and I started to have migraine headaches. Too much bile in his blood, and he started to have migraine headaches, but the doctor says it couldn't be connected. Not only were these headaches a source of pain and frustration, but they also contributed to me having to miss many days of work, school, and even free time, as they sometimes happened on my days off from both. When the migraine would kick in, I'd start having blurry vision along with eye floaters, nausea, light sensitivity, that's a big vitamin A sign, folks, muscle aches, and this feeling of my head compressing, with the only thing I could do was sometimes squeeze my head to get it to relax. At least once every 2 to 3 months, it was common for me to have to confine myself in my room with the lights off, no noise, squeezing my head while I moaned and groaned, hoping, praying that the pain would eventually stop, or until I just passed out from the pain. This went on for more than a decade. Over the years, I tried various approaches to modifying my health, regardless of whether it was eating paleo, drinking bulletproof coffee, chugging orange juice and milk together. Who does that? No dietary changes made a major difference in my migraine patterns. If anything, some just make them worse. Then one day I was introduced to the theory of vitamin A toxicity via an article Matt Stone of 180 Degree Health wrote about it. Eventually, Dr. Garrett Smith further filled in the details about vitamin A toxicity, and I was so impressed by his analysis that I wanted to give it a try. I tried all the other diets, so why not try this one, right? Within the first 2 weeks of eating this way, I had some of the more aggressive headaches I've ever had. They weren't to the point of being full-blown migraines like I've had before. They weren't nearly as debilitating, but they still warranted taking plenty of aspirin just so I could do my job. Despite the pain, I still kept up the low vitamin A diet. This is a key part here. Don't forget this. I honestly thought it was something else, like missing a cup of coffee or two. Those of you who are coffee addicts, you know what can happen when you miss your coffee, right? Eventually, I get a migraine again. But this was 6 months down the line and nothing like what I was used to. I was shocked to realize that it had been that long. About 7 to 8 months passed, and again, I started getting migraine symptoms, fuzzy vision, head compression, and nausea. But this time, all that cleared up in just a few hours without having to resort to any aspirin or headache management drugs. which brings me to where I am now. I have been migraine-free for almost 2 years now, and I give all the credit to following Dr. Smith's approach to a low vitamin A diet. Not only that, things like low back pain and stiffness. I recently drove 18 to 22 hours over the course of 2 days and had minimal low back pain and discomfort. The grogginess that accompanied a moderate to high carb meal. I no longer feel like taking a nap after meals. Stomach pains after eating bad food are gone. And of course, headaches are at an all-time minimum. So what does bilirubin have to do with any of this? Well, in 2019, after being on the program for at least a year, my bilirubin was high, 1.3. That is out of the normal range. A year later, in 2020, my bilirubin dropped into the normal range. Bilirubin, don't forget that. Then another year after that, in 2021, my bilirubin is at a 0.8, the lowest I've ever seen it. Coincidence? You decide. But I've already decided going low vitamin A has dramatically improved my quality of life, and I can't wait to see what else it can as I continue. Thanks for all you've done, Dr. Smith. And then he put the hashtag nutrition works. So, gosh, who has migraines and wouldn't want to have them anymore? Your bile in your blood affects your brain. Well, let me just say what Muzaffar over here said. So he said, lots of love, respect, and support for your work. I'm happy to become the member of your liver detox program. I'm learning a lot. Yes, this is, and I appreciate that. The only reason I do this, I got into this game to help myself with my health problems, and I just learned that I was good at taking all this knowledge and sifting out the BS, because how much BS is there out there, right? There is so much BS. People just make stuff up. They're just like, I think this about health, so I'm just going to make up a story about it. And then people on the internet think that just because somebody has the guts to put it on the internet, that it's true. Or that somebody has the guts to write a book. Just because somebody has the guts to write a book doesn't mean it's legit. And the thing that I hate about books is people think that they can write books and not put references in them. And they just make statements. And I'm going, okay, show me some references, please. Back this up with something. And they're just like, nope, I wrote a book. It's not what I did in my book. Solving the paleo equation back when I wrote it with Matt Stone. Now, I'm very, Matt wrote half of it. I wrote my half on EMF and exercise. I can't say that I am in complete agreement with Matt's dietary approaches anymore. I love Matt, love him. Don't totally agree with his dietary approaches anymore. But my part of the book, it still completely stands, in my opinion. If you want to read Solving the Paleo Equation by myself and Matt Stone, I can definitely say that my section on exercise and EMF, electromagnetic fields, I still stand by everything I wrote in that book. And did I reference it? Yeah. So that's the testimonial. Now I wanted to go over something, because I love debunking myths, even when people try to use a bunch of references to back up their wacko theories. So there's this theory that, the problem with copper is copper-2. And copper-1 is good for you, and you need it for your mitochondria. And da-da-da-da-da. And okay, so and then there's a company out there trying to sell you copper-1 bound to niacin or nicotinamide. We'll say it that. We'll say nicotinamide or niacinamide. So they're trying to sell you copper-1 bound to niacinamide as the magical stuff for your mitochondria. Well, what if we were to find out, what if there was research out there showing that your body could convert copper-2, the bad stuff, into copper-1, the good stuff? Doesn't that that could kind of debunk the whole reason for this entire book that is out there on this topic? And What if these authors were actually to say that copper 1 is worse for the system than copper 2? It's starting to sound like all the copper's bad, doesn't it? Well, let's just go into it. Here, let me put this paper here. Make sure to share this with your misled folks who are hurting their liver daily with the false love of copper. And if you're a Christian religious person, you know that we are in the times of the Great Deception, and weird that copper's being sold as such an important mineral when all the research out there shows what a toxic metal it is. And a hospital administrator is trying to sell it to you. So, direct evidence for ApoB100 mediated copper reduction. Direct evidence for ApoB100 mediated copper reduction. Studies with purified ApoB100 and detection of tryptophenyl radicals. Okay. Copper binding to apolipoprotein B100, ApoB100, and its reduction by endogenous, that means within the body, endogenous components of low-density lipoprotein represent critical steps in copper-mediated LDL oxidation, where cuprous ion copper 1 generated from cupric ion copper 2 reduction is the real trigger for lipid peroxidation. The body is making copper 1 from copper 2. And that's the real trigger for lipid peroxidation, which we don't want. Lipid peroxidation is a bad thing. So, although the copper-reducing capacity of the lipid components of LDL has been studied extensively, we developed a model to specifically analyze the potential copper-reducing activity of its protein moiety, ApoB100. We'll go to the very end of it here. Our results support that ApoB100 plays a critical role in copper-dependent LDL oxidation. Oxidized cholesterol is bad. Copper-dependent cholesterol oxidation, that's bad, due to its lipid-independent copper reductive ability, turning copper 2 into copper 1. And what they're doing videos where there's blue copper and then they pour water on copper and then it takes longer to turn blue. What do you think it's going to do in your body? I mean, geez, it's going to turn blue eventually. So we have that little, yeah, your body can turn copper 1 into copper 2 and back and forth, and apparently they're both bad. But yeah, you want to keep shoving them in because you think they're going to help your mitochondria. I'll tell you, it's going to crush your liver. And by the time you figure it out, you're going to have a long road out. I can help you with it, but you're going to have a long road out because you're probably doing tons of vitamin A and tons of copper, both of which accumulate in your liver, both of which are known to cause cholestasis, both of which are known to cause liver damage, and the liver suffers in silence. So you may be sitting here going, I don't think anything's wrong. I think Dr. Smith's wrong. I think I'm going to keep going on like this for 5 more years. And then the stuff hits the fan. So anyway, do what you need to do. I'll still be here saying the same stuff. So now while we're talking about copper, let's go into this next paper about, about how farmers are basically systematically, epidemically poisoning their cattle with copper. I see your comment, Hope. I'll get to it in a second. So let's go over this little cattle thing. Okay. You got to scroll down a little bit to see it. Under copper, it says copper supplementation, a challenge in cattle. Now, Now, I want to tell you, so a lot of people will try to say, like with vitamin A, that, oh, you just got to get it just right. You don't want to be deficient. You don't want to be excess. You just got to be just right. But when you start seeing about anything that is supposedly a nutrient, supposedly, and they start saying if you get just a little too much, well, you can cause all sorts of disease. This is what they say about vitamin A. You know, you're actually not supposed, they actually don't suggest you go over the RDA of vitamin A, which is like now down to, they've lowered it to like 3,000 IU a day. They actually say with the RDA, people think that the RDA is like, oh, that's the minimum you should do. You should go way above that. And they actually say you can get vitamin A toxic. The FDA said it in an article I've been over before. The FDA said if you go over the RDA, you can cause vitamin A toxicity. It's not a very good RDA now, is it? If that's the danger zone. So copper has a very similar thing to say, well, you don't want to go deficient, but don't get too much, because let's listen to what happens to the cattle. Ensuring adequate copper supplementation in ruminants, animals that chew their cud, is a challenging task due to the complexity of copper metabolism in these animals. The three-way interaction between copper, molybdenum, and sulfur in the rumen makes ruminants, particularly cattle, very susceptible to suffering from secondary copper deficiency. Paradoxically, duration paradox, is that a topic I talk about a lot? Yeah. Duration paradox is something, if you don't understand, this is probably why you've messed yourself up with health stuff over the years. Paradoxically, excessive copper storage in the liver to prevent deficiency becomes a hazard when ruminants are fed copper supplemented diets even slightly above requirements. While cattle were traditionally thought to be relatively tolerant of copper accumulation, and reports of copper poisoning were until recently somewhat rare, in recent years, an increased number of episodes/outbreaks of copper toxicity in cattle, particularly in dairy cattle, have been reported worldwide. The growing number of lethal cases reported seems to indicate that copper intoxication is spreading silently in dairy herds, urging the development of strategies to monitor herd copper status and improve farmers' awareness of copper toxicity. In fact, monitoring studies carried out on numerous samples collected from culled animals in slaughterhouses and/or diagnostic laboratories have demonstrated that large numbers of animals have hepatic copper concentrations well above adequate levels in many different countries. These trends are undoubtedly due to copper supplementation aimed at preventing copper deficiency, as dietary copper intake from pasture alone is unlikely to cause such high levels of accumulation in liver tissue. The reasons behind the copper overfeeding in cattle are related both to a poor understanding of copper metabolism and the theory of if adding a little more produces a response, then adding a lot will produce a better response. Contrary to most trace elements, copper in ruminants has narrow margins of safety, which must also be formulated considering the concentrations of copper antagonists in the diet. This review paper aims to provide nutritionists/veterinary practitioners with the key points about copper metabolism in cattle to guarantee an adequate copper supply while preventing excessive hepatic liver copper loading, which requires a la carte copper supplementation for each herd. They're trying their best. Now, I want you to remember, I went over a study about how lab monkeys, lab primates, were being poisoned. There's this whole scientific paper going over studies after studies showing that the lab monkeys are being poisoned with vitamin A. Whose fault is it that the lab monkeys are being poisoned by vitamin A? Completely the researchers, the scientists. Those lab monkeys never lived in the wild. It's not like they came to them vitamin A toxic. The only way they got vitamin A toxic is because the scientists don't know their butt from a hole in the ground about nutrition. Now we have silent epidemics of copper toxicity in cattle. And we have people supplementing copper. And they get silent copper accumulation in their liver. And as they're talking about with cattle, it's lethal eventually. Okay, if you're going to try to argue that copper 1 is okay in your liver and copper 2 is not, go away. Just go away. Go eat as much copper as you want. Just paint yourself with copper. Go. Just go and do it. Oh, prove me wrong. I'll be here chuckling at your, I won't say it. I'm not going to stop you. I'm here to warn you. If you want to believe phony put together science, you can. But now we've got epidemics of vitamin A toxicity in lab monkeys, and we've got epidemics of copper toxicity in cattle, and they talk about the narrow margin of safety. That's not a vitamin. That's not a mineral that you need when you have a narrow margin of safety. When animals are dying of it. You are being misled. You are not being cured. And there's always, oh geez, if you don't understand the concept of a honeymoon phase, boy, it's going to be a rough wake-up call. So let me just cover here Hope's comment. Hope, I don't mind if you mention, if I mention this, but Hope, I want you to understand how bad copper is for you people. And you know what a copper IUD is? Okay, right? I remember back in med school, people were asking me what kind of birth control should they get if they were going to get it. And I was in med school, so I was not anything like I am now. And I thought, okay, well, copper IUD, copper's at least a mineral, right? Shouldn't be as harmful as like these phony ass hormones that they're putting in women, whether it's by pills or whether it's by hormonal IUD. So I used to assume that copper IUDs were better. I want you to understand, when you're thinking of copper as being good for you, they put a copper wire inside of women's cervix to make them infertile. Copper placed inside a woman's reproductive system makes her infertile. Do I need to explain what copper is doing? Do you understand that if one were to believe that there's a larger goal in the things going on today, like, oh, I don't know, infertility and reduction of things like, oh, I don't know, the population. And we have people pushing copper, known to cause infertility, and excess vitamin A, known to cause infertility. Copper IUDs, do you need me to explain it to you again? They put a piece of copper in the cervix and it makes a woman infertile. And it often makes women just bonkers crazy because the copper is negatively affecting their brain. I'm trying to help you with this copper thing, people. You're being misled, and it's going to end ugly. The sooner you get out of it, the sooner you can start fixing it. At least you can stop putting the poison in or thinking that the poison is good for you. I'm still waiting for these YouTubers who love their liver. Some of them they're giving up on the liver. They're going, oh, well, maybe you don't need to eat so much liver. Maybe not. Maybe. Oh, but keep buying my liver pills. Still got to keep the money flowing, even though they know that it's ruined their health and now they're quitting. Remember, don't ever believe that a YouTuber does what they say they do. Just because they're on a camera saying to buy my stuff doesn't mean they use it at home. So, but Hope was commenting about, she was saying, I wanted to comment that if you are copper toxic, high sulfur foods will seem to make it worse because the sulfur will bind to molybdenum, which will take that away from binding it to copper. That is true. Molybdenum is an extremely important mineral to proper liver function. It helps to, let me see if I can find that paper. So let's see, what is that thiomolybdate? So thiomolybdate, tetrathiomolybdate, you hear the molybdenum in there? A potent copper chelating drug was initially developed for the treatment of Wilson's disease, which is Wilson's disease is a disease where they can't control their copper and they get diseases. Shocking. Our working hypothesis is that the fibrotic pathway, fibrosis, this is bad, fibrotic pathway is copper dependent because biliary excretion is a major pathway for copper elimination. What do we eliminate through the bile, folks? Toxic things. Because biliary excretion is the major pathway for copper elimination, a bile duct ligation mouse model was used to test the potential protective effects of tetrathiomolybdate. Skipping forward, cholestatic liver injury, which is what we want to try to fix, was markedly attenuated or reduced by tetrathiomolybdate treatment as shown by histology. In summary, tetrathiomolybdate attenuated BDL bile duct ligation-induced cholestatic liver injury and fibrosis in mice. Our data provide further evidence that tetrathiomolybdate might be a potential therapy for hepatic fibrosis. This paper is tetrathiomolybdate protects against bile duct ligation-induced cholestatic liver injury and fibrosis. So, gosh, getting rid of copper, something that is a potent copper chelator, helped prevent liver injury, which is cholestasis, and fibrosis. Huh. But they're probably causing gigantic problems by taking away the copper. Nope. 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 So we've got that little glimmer there. I also have, so they like that this group likes to obsess about iron overload, and they send people to donate blood all the time without monitoring their ferritin, and then they drive them anemic, and then they tell them to keep donating blood, and then they wonder why they keep feeling worse and worse and worse. But they keep being told that, oh, if you just donate more and you get your iron overload down, you'll suddenly magically snap to and feel better. And they usually don't. And then later, if they actually get a blood test, they find out that they're horribly anemic and that all has to be repaired. So let's go over this one about molybdenum and copper and iron, because molybdenum is important in the roles of copper and iron. And some people out there are saying you absolutely should never, ever, ever, ever take molybdenum. And I'm doing exactly the opposite. And I'm fixing iron overload without even having to have people eat less red meat. Amazing. Here we go. Paper is proposed role of copper molybdenum interaction in iron deficiency and iron storage diseases. Wait, they're saying molybdenum. They're saying molybdenum is important. Copper is part of the problem in both iron deficiency and iron overload diseases. So So let's read this. Iron deficiency anemias that are associated with high plasma levels of copper include the anemias of pregnancy, rheumatoid arthritis, or infection. So wait, that's iron deficiency with high levels of copper. Okay. In the blood. Iron deficiency anemias that are associated with high hepatic liver levels of copper include the anemias of prematurity, cirrhosis, or hemochromatosis, iron overload. So you can have an iron deficiency anemia in the blood and still be overloaded in your liver, folks. Such conditions are associated with shortened erythrocyte red blood cell survival time, as in sickle cell anemia, in which the erythrocytes, red blood cells, have also been shown to have, in which the red blood cells, erythrocytes, have also been shown to have elevated copper levels. I'm struggling here, guys. In those sentences I've read, I haven't come across copper deficiency yet. I see problem, excess copper, problem, excess copper, problem, excess copper, whether we're talking about plasma, excess copper, liver, excess copper, red blood cell, excess copper. I'm sorry, I'm missing the copper deficiency problems. I just don't see it. Other hemolytic, that's cell destroying. Other hemolytic disorders associated with copper poisoning or with metabolic abnormalities have similar erythrocyte dysfunctions. There are animal studies that show that hepatic levels of molybdenum and xanthine oxidase, that's one of the enzymes that can help you break down coffee, just so you know. An enzyme in the liver that's meant to break down caffeine, that's because caffeine's a poison, if you didn't figure it out yet, are low in fetal and neonatal liver, and clinical evidence that patients with iron deficiency anemia have low blood levels of molybdenum. Patients with cirrhosis or hemochromatosis have been shown to have low hepatic levels of xanthine oxidase, which needs molybdenum to run it. The available evidence thus points towards a high copper to molybdenum ratio in diseases of iron deficiency and storage. The foregoing are speculations requiring experimental investigation. So what they're saying is that, yeah, basically all these conditions, there's a pattern of excess copper and not enough molybdenum. And what is this other group saying to have more of and definitely avoid? They're saying have the magical copper 1 and avoid molybdenum like it's the plague, and avoid zinc like it's the plague, and avoid any copper antagonists, because I don't know, I guess they definitely want to store as much copper as possible in the liver. Boy, that honeymoon's going to end badly, folks. I know your friends and the loved ones you care about, and you guys are here listening to this, and they won't listen to you one bit. They won't listen to you one bit. So what you do, if you want to help your family and your friends, here's really what you're going to have to do. They say in marketing it takes, somebody has to hear something 7 times before it really sinks in. On average, they have to hear like a commercial 7 times before it necessarily sinks in. Of course, some people they hear it once and it sinks in, and some people it might take them 14 times, okay? But what you're going to have to do, let them get worse. They have to get worse. They have to learn the hard way. And then if you can see their symptoms, and you can go and like search in the evidence or watch my live streams or go on my research forum and find articles there, when they have a new symptom, just go and here's this research connecting copper toxicity to your symptoms. Here's this research connecting vitamin A toxicity to your symptoms. And if they're out bragging about their magical diet while you're watching them get sick as a dog, And if they ever complain to you about their health issues, I mean, it's got to be tough love. You got to be like, how's that diet working out for you? Oh, it's fine. It's fine. You're like, oh, that's not what it just sounded like. Okay. So I'm going to run through these couple of things on niacin. Because I brought up niacin because, okay, so if you take something as poisonous as copper and you bind it to niacinamide or nicotinamide, it doesn't magically make it the greatest thing ever for your mitochondria. You just took two poisons and bound them together. So let me tell you something from back when I was in med school. This was probably back 2004. I remember being in our cardiology class, and our cardiology instructor, who I liked, he's a good guy who questioned everything. He says, everybody thinks that niacin to lower cholesterol is the best thing out there. He's like, niacin is the most toxic of all the cholesterol lowering drugs. And I was like, what? What? How could the vitamin, right, just like the copper IUD, how could the mineral be the worst one? For those of you out there who are playing around with supplements, thinking you're just like playing around with stuff that's not dangerous, oh my goodness, you have no idea the power of stuff you're playing with. Minerals are what everything's made of. If you put the wrong part in your car is going to horribly malfunction. You could be like, but it's the car part. It should work. No. You don't get to play around. It's not a joke. It's not a game. So niacin, nicotinamide. Let's just run through this. Hepatotoxicity upon taking niacin to pass a drug test. Okay. Somebody tried to take niacin to pass their piss test. Right? Some dope smoker wanted to pass a drug test. If you think weed is not harmful for your liver, oh my goodness, the research is going to explode on you within a couple years. It's already out there. It's going to explode on you. So wait, so we got hepatotoxicity on niacin, taking a blood test. Oh, case report. Okay, so we got that one. Oh, but it's water soluble. It just all goes out of your system. Results: the patient developed marked elevations in his liver enzymes. AST greater than 25 times the upper limit of normal, and ALT greater than 3 times the upper limit of normal, that resolved upon discontinuation of the drug. Boy, that sounds good for your liver, doesn't it? Let's just go and bind it to copper and give it to people. So now I want to talk just real quick about people think that taking niacin for the flush is a good thing. The niacin flush is a histamine dump, people. It's a forced histamine dump into your system. Do you think that's a good idea? Probably not a good idea to force dumps of histamine into your system. Bad idea. So we got that one. Then we have niacin on the Liver Tox website. Let me see. I thought I had a spot here. Oh, here we go. Let's just go with the introduction. Niacin can cause mild to moderate serum aminotransferase elevations, and high doses and certain formulations of niacin have been linked to clinically apparent acute liver injury, cholestasis, which can be severe as well as fatal. Gotta love those vitamins. Gotta love those vitamins that can kill you. Stop taking pills just because somebody said to on the internet. Let's keep going. Niacin-induced hepatitis, a potential side effect with low dose, time release niacin. Low dose? Oh, you mean it's not just high doses? Hepatitis, which is liver inflammation, right? Hepatitis developed in 5 patients who were taking low dosages, 3 grams a day or less, of time-release niacin. In 4 of the 5 patients, clinical symptoms of hepatitis developed after the medication had been taken for a relatively short time, 2 days to 7 weeks. Wow, that's ruining livers pretty quickly. Oh, but the niacin flushes your detoxing. Whoever showed any evidence that it was a detox other than people felt something? This is the problem, people. They'll give you something that causes you to feel something, and then they'll lie to you about what it means. And if you don't know any better, you might believe them. Whoever said that getting itchy and red means that you're detoxing anything? Somebody has an allergic reaction, they're detoxing? Sorry. So another paper, lipid-lowering agents that cause drug-induced hepatotoxicity. Well, here's the line that my teacher in med school basically said. The anti-hyperlipidemic drug, so the drug that lowers cholesterol, the anti-hyperlipidemic drug with the highest potential for hepatic liver injury is the sustained release formation of niacin. And here we go. The mechanism for those of you who are into the mitochondria is the biggest distraction thing that they've ever done. It just gave them something to BS you with more research on. So evidence-based medicine consult. The mechanism for niacin-associated flushing and hepatotoxicity. Summary. Niacin is an anti-lipemic agent used to treat dyslipidemia, high cholesterol. Clinical trial evidence demonstrates its ability to raise HDL-C and lower LDL-C, lipoprotein A, and triglycerides. Drug-induced liver injury can occur through direct hepatotoxicity, directly damaging the liver, or an immune-mediated hepatotoxic mechanism. Niacin may be metabolized by either a conjugative or amidation pathway. The hepatotoxicity of niacin is most associated with the sustained release formulation and the production of nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide via the amidation pathway. Here we go. Nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide inhibits beta oxidation, leading to mitochondrial dysfunction. The dysfunction in the mitochondria leads to disruption in ATP production, which causes apoptosis, which leads to cytokine release and necrosis. And then somebody's going to be like, oh, but not this form of B3. Oh, but not this one. You're playing semantics. The body will switch these forms between each other. You want to play those games? Nobody's going to stop you. Hopefully you don't kill yourself before you realize you went down the wrong path. So what do we got? We got B6, vitamin B6 toxicity. If you're not sure about vitamin B6 toxicity, go on Facebook, type in B6 toxicity in the search bar of Facebook. There's like 10 different B6 toxicity Facebook groups. Did you know there's only 2 known neurotoxic vitamins, supposedly in the research? Vitamin A and vitamin B6. Okay. So then now we get to add B3 as liver toxic. People ask me, should I take B vitamins? And I'm like, you're messing around with them. I don't tell people not to take them, but I say if you don't feel better from it, here's what we do. If you feel better from a B vitamin, you could continue taking it. Your goal is to fix the underlying condition so that you don't need the B vitamin. And as you need less of it, you get on less of it. And when you don't benefit from it anymore, you get the heck off of it. B vitamins are not out there. Nobody ever cured a problem with B vitamins. They may have been horribly, horribly low and they took some and they got out of the horrible deficiency state, but there was probably a reason why they had that. You know, eating tons of rice will cause a B1 deficiency. Okay, well, don't do that. That's been known since like the 50s. Don't do it. Don't eat white flour. Don't eat a bunch of, people who are eating a bunch of white rice, you got to realize you're causing yourself nutritional problems. So then you're going to have to spackle that problem up with more vitamins. Okay. And if you need directed nutritional help about what to eat, that's what I do. If you want to be out there, do it on your own, think you're all smart, go ahead. You can make all the mistakes yourself. You can learn the hard way, or you can go with people who have talked to lots of people about how to get around this. And then inside the network, we got 800 people who have probably made the same mistakes before you're going to make them. And they could tell you how it went. So, let's see. So, so I'll just start running through the questions now. I'm done with the niacin. Hope said most multivitamins have 5,000 IU of vitamin A in them. Yes, which is more than the RDA. So they are, by definition, you are poisoning yourself. Yes. Hope asks, is there one about goats getting sick from copper toxicity? I don't remember. I think I've said my piece today. I'm losing steam on the whole copper thing today. So our bot asked, does floating stools mean cholestasis? It means you got some liver problems. You're not getting your liver and your bile, your gallbladder are not working. And whatever you're doing, you better change it. I don't know. I'm not going to diagnose it and say what it is on YouTube. Okay. But floating stools means there's too much fat in your stools generally. It's one of two things. Either you're eating a massively high fiber diet and the fiber is bulking it up and it's able to float, because vegans will often have floating stools, but they don't eat a high fat diet most commonly. So that's because of the insane amount of fiber that they're eating, which isn't necessarily a good thing. Or if you're not a vegan and you're eating plenty of fat, then your bile is not getting down. You are not breaking down your fats properly. And then your stools are floating because there's too much fat in them. Those are the two big things that can happen with floating stools. So, will joining your program fix ulcerative colitis and GERD? Thanks. Joining my program is a do-it-yourself thing. Putting your name into the network as a member doesn't do anything. I hope you understand what I mean. There's not an approach in there for ulcerative colitis and GERD. It's the same generalized approaches for any condition because they are all rooted in the liver. Now, if you join and you don't read anything and you don't do anything, nothing happens. Nothing happens until something happens. So if you're hoping that you're just going to join there and there's like a one paper thing to read and then maybe do some of it, and that's going to fix everything, that's not how it works. This is hard work. We are undoing decades worth of damage. Many of the people here, if you're here right now, you may have been liver damaged from birth. 60% of kids are being, back in 2003, I think it was, 60% of kids were born jaundiced. 60% of them born with liver problems. The problem's worse now. I talked to somebody who used to sell, I talked to somebody who sold baby, like the parenteral nutrition to the pediatric ICUs. And I said, how many kids are having jaundice? She's like, oh, her face just was like, it was, she knew. Okay. Next question. Do I answer personal questions in Love Your Liver program? I am planning to enroll in it. I am not. Okay. I have individual clients who pay me for my time. I do not do personal consultations in the Love Your Liver program. That is not what it's for. I wouldn't be able to pay my bills if everybody who joined the Love Your Liver program for the one-time fee got full access to me for questions all day long every day. That's not how I get to feed my family. So if you want consultation time with me, that can be set up through Julie, admin@nutritiondetective.com. If you want to work with me, there's my consultation, my testing and consultation packages, which is where we test bloods and hair to see what you need and what you don't need and what we need to focus on getting rid of. And then people who are my consultation clients get access to what are called the office hours, which I'm really super pleased with. So for those of you who are out there who are consultation clients and you haven't been using the office hours, I'm sorry, you're missing out. Where I do 1 hour twice a week. It's Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Arizona time and Thursdays at 5 p.m. Arizona time. I made them that way so I could fit the most people in based on people's weird schedules all over the world. They get to come on and ask me questions. Talked to somebody yesterday, good guy. His girlfriend thought she was doing him a favor. She made him bone broth and a bunch of cooked cabbage. And I had to ask him about what had changed because he said about a week ago he had this huge autoimmune flare-up and his belly's all swollen and he's farting sulfur horridness and he just feels awful everywhere. And I went, what'd you change about 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, diet-wise? And he tells me bone broth and this cabbage. And I went, oh, so you want to know how this stuff works? So he's a client of mine. He came on office hours and I said, bone broth's full of histamine. What do cholestatic people have? They have elevated histamine already. So when you drink a bunch of histamine in, you can't get rid of it. What does sulfur do from cruciferous vegetables and eggs especially? Sulfur slows down your ALDH, your aldehyde dehydrogenase system. Do you know that histamine, one of the breakdown steps of histamine, is an aldehyde? So then you so you got sulfur blocking your ALDH, throw down a bunch of histamine, which goes through the ALDH to break it down. It can't get broken down by the ALDH because you just put a bunch of sulfur in the system. And now you have all this histamine running around in your system and you're feeling horrible. I know he's gonna feel better. And we tweaked some of his minerals and I know he's going to feel better soon. But food, I mean, the whole bone broth fad is just a joke. My goodness. Hope you don't get any bones with lead in them because that's where they concentrate. So you can be having your bone broth lead juice. No, this isn't bone broth. So, so Allie asks, still interested in sheep? Hope, I have raised 4 low vitamin A sheep, but don't like the taste of lamb. Heh. Hope says, yes, I am that and other meat animals. LOL. Allie says, I have been meaning to message you on the network. Will do. Talk to you soon. Okay, so Yeah, Tyler's just talking to our bot. There are also nearly 800 supportive members on the community, and we all serve and support one another along our healing journey. It's really like one of the comments at first, I'll repeat it again. At first I was a little like, ouch. And then I went, oh no, this is how awesome our community is. One person said after one of the comments, they said, I swear the comments after Dr. Smith's articles on here are often just as useful as Dr. Smith's article. And at first I was like, oh, that hurts. But then I realized that's other people adding their real life feedback to this, so then people can get even more information. I can't write everything down in the same article. I can't know everything about everything. Anybody who thinks they do is wrong. That's God's job. So I'm not trying to take his job. So Hope says the network reminds me of the movie Patch Adams. We do have a lot of fun there. There are memes on occasion. And Hope says, and from my experience, I don't think copper deficiency is a thing. I don't think copper deficiency is a thing either, because we're having more and more people who have done this long enough that they're having blood tests come back as low copper, and they're taking their zinc and they're taking their molybdenum, and they are in the best health of their life. And gosh, all these terrible copper deficiency signs and symptoms, same thing with, and they're also showing up, commonly it's the same people showing up with low vitamin A and low blood copper. And they're doing better than they ever have in their life. Isn't that strange? Maybe what we're taught about nutrition is a lie founded by people like the Rockefellers in nutrition. What does Bill Gates love to get into the foods that he feeds people, and what does he love to give with the pokes in third world countries? They give high dose vitamin A, and they just approved golden rice. Do you remember ever hearing about golden rice like in the late 1990s, early 2000s? They never approved it. Oh, it just got approved in the Philippines. So now they're going to feed people genetically modified rice that makes beta carotene. Does that go with if vitamin A? I have a whole video on this channel about vitamin A and infertility. Oh, birth control raises vitamin A and raises copper in the blood. So birth control pills, birth control hormones raise vitamin A in the blood and raise copper in the blood while they make you infertile. Are you putting it together yet? Bill Gates loves vitamin A. Other people out there love copper. They got copper water pipes going to everybody's houses. I have research on, I could find the copper water pipes poisoning people, studies from PubMed. You can probably find them. Just type in copper toxicity water pipes or something like that. You'll find it. Well, here, why don't I do that for you? Chronic poisoning by copper in tap water. Part 1, copper intoxications with predominantly gastrointestinal symptoms. So, here's a, so for you people who think copper's safe, let me just read an important line here. We found that the disease can be caused by copper concentrations below the allowed concentration given by the German guidelines for drinking water. The data prove that copper in drinking water can cause gastrointestinal diseases, and not only the better known systemic diseases i.e. copper-induced liver cirrhosis. Wait. Let me read that again. Copper-induced liver cirrhosis. Let me do a third time. Copper-induced liver cirrhosis. Notice they didn't say copper 1 or copper 2. Copper poisoning must be considered as a possible cause of chronic gastrointestinal diseases in those countries in which copper plumbing is common. That wasn't hard to find. What did I type in? Copper toxicity water pipes PubMed. That was not hard to find. Cindy says, I quit sugar October 19th and started lactoferrin 1 drop October 23rd, and since then my appetite is through the roof. Is it related? I cannot tell you how you changed your calorie intake overall. I don't know how much sugar you were eating. I don't know how much emotional comforting you got from sugar in your diet. I'm not going to diagnose any of that stuff. The first thing you probably need to do is look at how many calories you're eating. Because usually when people their hunger goes through the roof, usually they change something about how much they actually eat. So if you just took all the sugar out and you just took that all out of your diet, now your diet's got like a giant gaping hole of calories in it from what it used to, then yes, you're going to be hungry. It's just math. That's always the first thing we go by. So then, yeah, Hope was saying, just think if you, Hope said I get the flesh with fleshless niacin, so even that causes the histamine release. Yes. And then if you're taking a multivitamin, you're getting niacin, you're getting copper, you're getting vitamin A, you're getting extra calcium, you're getting vitamin D rat poison. I just saw a commercial the other day for D-Con on TV. D-Con is vitamin D that they're killing rats and mice with. So you take it in a pill. See, we're going to give it to you. Take it as the pill of health. And then give it to the rats and mice to murder them. Are you not looking at this and going, take copper for health. Put a piece of copper in your reproductive system so you can't make babies. Are you getting this? You are being misled about health from every single major direction. You are being poisoned from every angle. Am I selling a bunch of stuff here today? No, I'm helping you not to buy a bunch of crap and kill yourself early because of it. Hope says, I had so much sulfur in me at some point that even touching the powder gave me issues. Touching the powder of what powder? Or you mean the niacin powder? I don't know. Orange corn. Oh yeah, yeah. Is there a less toxic water pipe? I don't know. But all I know is the people out there who are purposely avoiding zinc and molybdenum and the other copper antagonists, I can guarantee them the craziness of their deficiency, and any copper that's coming in is just going straight to their liver to sit there. And if their liver's not too full of copper, yeah, it'll just slowly accumulate. Just keep stacking up. They're not getting rid of it, so it just keeps building up until all of a sudden, that's when they go to the doctor, and their doctor's like, your liver enzymes went crazy. And the person's like, the doctor says, have you been drinking alcohol? And then usually they're like, no. Or, oh, I've been having my wine. And then all the doctor tells them to do is just stop drinking. Stop drinking for your liver. Isn't that the advice of doctors about livers? That's about the best advice they give. Stop drinking. And then when people are like, but I don't drink. And the doctors are like, well, stop drinking. So helpful, doctor. I don't know if there's less toxic water pipes. Filter your water. Filter People are like, but you want to leave the minerals in the water. Yeah, go ahead, leave your copper in your water. Go ahead. That's why I use reverse osmosis water. I don't want any of those poisons left in there. You people who are more worried about the energetics of the water versus the poisons that are obviously left in the water, you've misplaced your priorities. Jennifer says, I feel like I screwed my health up by eating, quote, well. My good diet was packed with vitamin A and I was using a retinoid, adapalene on my skin. Now I have a suspected IBD, irritable bowel disease. Yeah, no, this is, how do you think I got here? I was a triathlete vegetarian at one point. Then I was a paleo CrossFit dumbass. And then I was like, I did the whole primal diet where I was eating, some raw liver and making shakes out of raw milk and raw eggs and raw honey. I'm going to say those didn't taste too bad, but when you think of the vitamin A bomb that they were making, it was bad. There was a point where I was making raw liver smoothies with liver and blueberries, frozen blueberries. And this was part of where I started to put it together. When I thought about it later, I used to, after doing those liver smoothies, that was the last holdover from the primal diet that I kept for a while. And I was looking at this liver going, I don't want to make this anymore. I just don't want to do this anymore. And I did a trick that's a very useful trick. It's not some crazy earth-shattering trick. I looked at that liver and I thought, do I actually think that I feel better from doing this? Because if I feel better from doing something, I'll do crazy crap. And I looked at it and I was like, I don't think I do feel better. I think I actually feel worse. And I threw it away and I was done. And over the next couple of weeks, I did start to feel better. Just like many, many, many people do. They stop eating all these crazy high vitamin A foods and they start feeling better. Because they stop poisoning themselves. The problem is then the liver, if you're going a little bit too fast, you start dumping too much stuff into the system and then you don't feel good because your liver is now trying to get rid of those years and decades worth of garbage that you've been storing in there. It's a poison on the way in and it's a poison on the way out. There is no free pass to just get out of jail free card and just have a new liver. It takes work. I just had about a 50% drop in my vitamin A levels. I'll go over I think I'm going to do a video on my blood tests very soon here. But my vitamin A dropped from a 50 point something down to a 28.7. I had passed the 3-year mark of doing this myself. Coincidentally, I had started the lactoferrin about 8 months ago. We've got other people now who are showing massive drops in their vitamin A within the 6 months of doing the lactoferrin. So, and I'm going to tell any of you out there listening to this, I would never mislead anybody, but I'm going to tell you that personal experience and from what I'm hearing from other people, our lactoferrin from fresh milk is massively different than the other brands of lactoferrin out there that come from whey as a byproduct of cheese making. It possibly has to do with denatured lactoferrin in the ones that are coming from whey. I don't know, but I can tell you that there is a price difference because there is a quality difference and there's a material difference. But if you go and you start trying to, what's the term? Buy nice, don't buy twice is really what I'm going to say. Yes, ours costs more and yes, it's worth it. Here, let me, oh, the link is in the description to the lactoferrin in the store. And people who are members of the Love Your Liver program get the best prices directly by ordering from Julie. If you are in the network, don't order from the store. Order through Julie. So, Hope's saying sulfur powder. We used to use sulfur powder on our dog for pest control. We stopped when when I was reacting to it by just touching it. I figured it was not good topically too. Allie says, so funny today. Thanks. I was kind of in a little mocking mood today, I guess. Cindy says, I was so happy when I found out liver was bad for you. Our bodies are telling us that liver is bad for us because I'm going to use a technical term here. It tastes like ass. Do our bodies not try to warn us? Right? Why do most vegetables not taste good? Because most vegetables are poisonous too. Why can we not just say that? I mean, I don't have to be an adult and be like, well, I have to say that vegetables are good for us because I'm in health or something. Vegetables are mostly garbage. There's only 2 vegetables mentioned in the entire Bible. Onions and leeks. Are those high vitamin A vegetables? No, they are higher in sulfur. You got to eat them? Nope. Nobody ever said you had to eat onions or leeks, but you could. But if you're trying to get out of a sulfur and copper problem, I don't know if I would. The idea of eating vegetables is completely a modern times thing. The idea of eating a rainbow was introduced to the West by Sesame Street in 2005. That's how long the eat a rainbow thing has been around. So if you think they are trying to poison you. Wait, what did Big Bird just talk about? Didn't Big Bird just talk about something? Oh, and Sesame Street brought us Eat a Rainbow back in 2005? Huh. Yeah, Hope. I saw Hope's post about horrible issues when she added onions back in. I have no desire to eat sulfur. Sulfur is a poison. Garlic is a poison. Why do you think nature marked garlic like it? Do animals, like, if you crush up garlic, do you see all the animals run into the room to eat the garlic? No, there's no bugs coming and trying to eat all the garlic? No, because they know better. It's poison. For those of you who are Christian, just think of how brimstone is referred to in the Bible. That's sulfur. That's the smell of Satan and hell. But yet everybody's saying that you need it for health. There's also some very strange influences on the world these days. Coincidence? So, Hope was just saying our lactoferrin is definitely worth the price. I gotta get going. Hope said, I had a goat that really liked garlic, but she also ate the fruit of nightshades that grew on our property. So, yeah, this is one of the things where people are like, but I love spicy food. How can you say it's bad if I'm not supposed to like it? Oh, people, we can train ourselves to like all sorts of poisons. Alcohol tastes, if you actually stripped away the delusion you taught yourself about alcohol tastes like a poison. You've convinced yourself that you like it or that you've developed a taste for it. Why does nobody drink black coffee? Very few people do. If I was going to drink coffee, I tend to drink it black because I want to remind myself that I'm choosing to drink a poison that I'm choosing to use for a reason. I'm fine with that. Once in a while, if I need something, like if I was going to drive home late at night and I knew that I could drink this poison, I'm not going to try to enjoy it. Or I could possibly die on the road by falling asleep. I'm going to pick the coffee. I'm not going to be an idiot. So, yeah, so just when you know what a poison is and you know how you can manipulate it and you know you're not getting addicted to it, which something you do every day, you're basically addicted to. And if you would skip a day and you don't feel good, you're addicted. Just admit it to yourself. And then start going, only toxic things cause addictions. Only toxic things cause withdrawals. Then you can start working on, let's say, Alan Carr's stuff to get off of all these bad, toxic things. Okay. Derek says, when you started teaching the vitamin A was a poison and I stopped eating it, I had much fewer migraines. I also noticed that the high vitamin A foods were the ones that gave me migraines. Right? There we go. Gosh, but vitamin A is so nutritious. We need vitamin A. It's brightly colored and yay. It's like a party in my mouth. Boy, I'm in a mood today. It just, nature marks, just here's your, I'm going to wrap it up right here. Nature marks poisonous things with bright colors or very dark colors. Okay, like think eggplant. Eggplant's not bright, it's very dark. Think of snakes. Think of the poisonous snakes. They're either generally brightly colored or dark. And then think of plant foods. Nature marks poisons with bright colors to say, stay away, I'm not worth you effing around and finding out. Then we have bitter taste. Vegetables at their base are bitter. This is why kids don't like them. And kids listen to their body better than adults who have taught ourselves that we should eat vegetables just because they're good for you. Then, smelly things. All you people using essential oils, oh man. You are taking the straight plant poison that nature put in there to send things away. And you are concentrating it and you are rubbing it on your children's skin and putting it into diffusers and breathing it straight into your lungs. And you are just, and then most of you wonder, I just don't understand why I never get better. Essential oils never cured anything. No one has an essential oil deficiency. I feel like I have a lavender deficiency. No. Citraldehyde, a big part of the citrus scents in the essential oil world, specifically slows down your ALDH enzyme, which is one of your major enzymes for detoxing ethanol, alcohol, methanol, which goes into formaldehyde, and retinol, which goes into retinaldehyde. That's a really bad enzyme to slow down. So anything citrus scented that you have around anywhere is slowing down your liver, but yet we have all these, multi-level marketing moms out there being, oh, use this thing, it smells like citrus and citrus kills everything. Yeah, it kills your liver. Yeah. Cool beans. Stop putting it on your kids. Stop it. Bright colors, dark colors, bitter taste, strong smells. People go, oh, but life's going to be so boring. Do you seriously get your entertainment in life from colors and bitter tastes and smells? What we find on the program is as people's livers get cleaner, they tend to want less fancy smelling foods and less fancy tasting foods, because what they've done, here's the problem. Poisons beget poisons. The more poisoned somebody is making themselves, the more poisons they want. When they talk about a gateway drug, like, oh, marijuana is a gateway drug to other drugs. Well, what would that be saying? If poison begets poisons, somebody starts with marijuana and then they want another drug, and then they want a different drug, and then they want a different drug. Somebody, when people start drinking alcohol, what kind of food do they want to eat? Do they want to eat healthy food? No, they want to eat about the worst garbage food they can find. Oh, so they drink alcohol and then they want garbage food. Oh, somebody smokes weed. Do they want good food or do they want crap food? They want crap food. When you start seeing that, and the people you know who have the worst habits usually have a bunch of them together, because one poison makes you want another poison. Oh, when I eat lots of high sugary foods, then I want a lot of high salt foods and high fatty foods and all. And do you see? This is not, I'm not saying salt is bad, but I am saying that sugar and salt and fat is like, it's like a roller coaster that you get on, and then you've got to purposely try to get off. Coffee. Oh, I just start my day with coffee and I end it with wine. Are you seeing the connection here? The more poisons you're putting into your body, the more poisons you want in your body. As you start getting the poisons out of your body, you will start wanting less poisons. People on the network often, I'm not saying people have to do this, but they're just like me. My seasoning with foods is salt. That's it. That's all I need. I didn't choose to get there. Now I look at all the stuff, all these smelly herbs in the spice cabinet, and I just go, why would I use that? My body, my intuition just goes, I don't want that. And that happens to a lot of people on the program. So, Linda saying I've been on a roll today. Thank you. I guess I get a little bug up my rear end sometimes about, being humorous and whatever, but I'm just here to help people. I think I'm all done for the day. I didn't get a lot of questions today because I was just kind of on a roll, but I hope you all enjoyed it. If you remember, if you want to try that, so I have one supplement for sale. That is the lactoferrin. That is on the nutritiondetective.com store. It is absolutely the best stuff out there. There are specific instructions linked on the bottle about how to start it, how to take it. I highly, highly suggest you do that. I'll start making some videos on the research on lactoferrin. For those of you out there who might want to go and do your own Googling, go Google lactoferrin COVID PubMed. Go have fun with some of those searches. And then if you want to, go and Google lactoferrin and the technical term for any disease you want to go search. Go search lactoferrin diabetes or lactoferrin cancer or whatever, lactoferrin Crohn's. There was a guy who took 1,000 milligrams of lactoferrin a day for, I think it was a year and a half. And after that year and a half, they did a colonoscopy and all evidence of his Crohn's was completely gone. And that was the only thing he did. Lactoferrin is a huge part of this whole cholestasis liver injury process of repair. It can, do you need it? Does somebody need it? I'm going to be totally honest. No, people don't have to have it, but it sure does speed up things a lot. when we're talking about a process that's years, speeding up things a lot is a pretty cool thing. So, and like I said, I wouldn't even buy nice, don't buy twice. I would absolutely suggest using ours alone and not wasting time with the other ones. We've already done that. We've already experimented for you. And the results with the other stuff, nowhere near what we're getting with our stuff. So I got to go do my inner circle with the people on the network. That's a private group where they get to ask me questions. I'll be on there for about another 2 hours, and I'll be going into topics that I would not touch with a 10-foot pole here on YouTube. It is a subscription, monthly subscription additive, but and to get to it, you have to be a member of the network to get there. So anyway, hope you all have a great weekend. Hope you had fun today. I did. And I'll talk to you guys next week. Bye now.